goal of our project was to show how women's wedding dresses changed over time in order to glamorize and flatter the female body. We will show the progression of women's wedding dresses of the royalty in Great Britain. Contrary to popular belief, white was not always a symbol of purity. White used to mean you were just settling. Queen Victoria started the tradition of a bride wearing a white dress at her wedding. Prior to Queen Victoria's wedding, a bride would usually wear her best dress of no particular color.
1800s.
The dark dress in this picture is what wedding dresses usually looked like prior to Queen Victoria's wedding, and the white dress is an example of how dresses changed after Queen Victoria made the white dress popular. Queen Victoria married Prince Albert in 1840. These are some examples of royalty wedding dresses that were inspired after Queen Victoria's. This is a picture of her in her expensive ornamental gown that created a slimming effect. The bodice that creates a V shape and the puffy skirt create the slimming effect. It also included a veil. Although not made popularized by Queen Victoria, the veil somehow started to symbolize purity. Queen Victoria popularized white as a wedding dress color. She also set the standard for simple yet elegant dresses. Queen Victoria was an essential part in setting the fashion sense of the 1800s by being the trendsetter for the royal family's wedding dresses. Queen Victoria opted for an ivory satin dress, which in the Queen's day was simple compared to the royal standards of that era. This image shows several different types of wedding dress styles in the year 1861. After Queen Victoria's own wedding, a common theme in royal wedding dresses was that the dress was white in color and adorned in expensive embellishments, and it left the woman looking slimmer than normal.
1900s.
In Britain in the 1920s, wedding dresses were made in the style of the moment. The dresses were made of straight fabric and were fairly unshaped. The gowns were often decorated elaborately and were worn with headdresses that fell low over the brow. Then in the 1930s and 40s, wedding gowns started to change. The waistlines became more narrow and defined a woman's shape, flattering her figure.
The wedding dress of the time still fit the look of the 1950s wedding dress. However, this solo picture of Princess Margaret exemplifies the look of the 1960s wedding dress. One can see the circular skirt, tight sleeves, and bouffant veil that was predominant in many dresses of that time. Princess Margaret's wedding dress was designed by Norman Hartwell, and according to the BBC News video, Royal Wedding Dresses, Princess Margaret had more say into designing the dress, but she still chose to design it in a way that fit the traditional look of the time period. Princess Margaret married Anthony Armstrong Jones on May 6, 1960. Their wedding was the first royal wedding ever to be filmed and broadcasted all over the world. The sleeves of the 1970s wedding dresses were all the rage thanks to Princess Anne. Her wedding dress catapulted the trend of the time. This picture is of Princess Anne and her husband, Captain Mark Phillips, on their November 17, 1973 wedding day. The feature that is seen on her dress that was not seen in the 1960s are the long Tudor-style sleeves. From then on, the other wedding dresses of the time era featured different sleeves from other time eras. Sarah Ferguson and her husband, Prince Andrew, is the second royal couple to be married in the 1980s. They were brought together as man and wife on July 23, 1986 at Westminster Abbey. From the picture, you can clearly see that Princess Diana was the inspiration for Sarah Ferguson's dress. Sarah wore an ivory Duchess satin gown with a 17-foot train that was designed by Linka Churach, as stated by M.L. Littlefield. According to Elizabeth Davies, the only difference is that Sarah's gown was made so that it had a low waistline pointing at front and back, and flare, as well as a gathered-in skirt to flatter her normal body figure. Other brides soon followed Sarah and her dress was a set style that prevailed for the next years. In the 1990s, according to Elizabeth Davies, shift dresses were introduced in day-wear fashions, often made by layering a fine fabric over a lining for an ethereal effect, and the trend soon appeared on the bridal scene. This look was embodied by Sophie Rhys-Jones. This is a picture of Sophie with her husband, Prince Edward, on their wedding day of June 19, 1999. In the BBC video, Prince Edward's Wedding, it states that Sophie's dress was designed by Samantha Shaw, which consisted of a long fitted coat with long sleeves and an ivory train, made from hand-dyed silk organza and silk crepe, with rows of pearls and crystal beading.
Present time.
The most important things queens have struggled with over the past decade is keeping the political body and the natural body connected. In the body of the queen, it says, the link between the body political and the body natural had been broken, causing the royalty to lose power and respect. Society saw through the political body, beginning to realize the kings and queens were normal people like them. In order to maintain the image of royalty, the kings and queens must show they are higher class by what they wear and how they act. Wearing fancy dresses as everyday clothes sets you apart from others who just wear jeans and a t-shirt. It shows that queens have money and care about their image, showing people that royalty is a step above the rest of society. With dozens of royal weddings previous to the royal wedding of Prince William and Kate Middleton, the pressure to have the perfect wedding was at its greatest. One of the most important parts of the wedding was the bride's dress because it had to show her status. The dress had to be perfect. It would have to fulfill Middleton's wants and the wants of the world, but most importantly, the dress had to illustrate the image of the royal family she was about to become part of. After the wedding, the word was out that Sarah Burton, creative director of Alexander McQueen, had designed Middleton's luxurious dress. Known as the fashion's world's best-kept secret, Burton didn't even tell her parents of her work with Middleton and the royal dress, which made the first appearance of the gown even more significant. There were many aspects to Middleton's dress that showed the world she was royalty and a step or two above the rest of society. The 9-foot train and the lace bodice were two of the most beautiful features to her dress. These were both ideas of Middleton and Burton. The reason Middleton chose Burton and the brand Alexander McQueen to design her wedding dress is because Middleton wished for her dress to combine tradition with the artistic vision of Alexander McQueen. The final product wedding dress was showcased on April 29, 2011. To conclude the progression of wedding dresses throughout the last 60 years, comparing Princess Margaret's dress and Kate Middleton's dress will be the most effective. Middleton's dress is more modern, while Princess Margaret's dress is more traditional. Both are very modest, having long sleeves and not showing too much chest. The tight-fitting lace, the sweetheart neckline, and the shape show the modernization on Middleton's gown. However, the fabric and the shape of the dress, along with the long veil, show that Princess Margaret's dress is more traditional. Back then, they needed long veils and big dresses with flair because the dresses were plainer than today's royal dresses. Middleton's dress has a lot of lace detail, which means the shape can be simpler. Middleton's dress has the shape of a traditional dress, but the pattern and details of a modern dress, a great combination.
I think I wanna marry you. Oh, I'll go get a ring, let the choir bells sing like ooh. So what you wanna do? Let's just run.